In today's NFL, there's not much said about Aaron Rodgers that's in a positive light. But what's surprising is that the quarterback just gave a showering of praise on a quarterback of our own in Jared Goff. We're going to talk about it, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. My friends, I'm going to tell you what. When it comes to the news right now, I know that a lot of news is going to be focusing on the Zadarius Smith trade, and rightfully so. I myself am even going to be talking about that a little bit today as well. And I'm trying to get out a lot of content now over the next day or two because there are so many different ideas that I have right now that it's kind of hard to try and juggle them all. But let's just go over this one right now. I can tell you this. When it comes to the NFL, there are few things that are almost universally viewed at with the same kind of perspective from multiple people. This perspective that I'm about to give is probably one of them. Nobody likes Aaron Rodgers. And if there are people that like him, they're very, very few. Aaron Rodgers now has kind of become almost a pariah, if you will, when it comes to the rest of the NFL. The only reason that people have put up with him for as long as he has is because there's always been this idea, perception, whatever you'd like to call it, about him being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and that he has the potential of getting you and winning you a Super Bowl because, well, he's done it already. The problem is that one, he hasn't done it since 2011, 2012, and two, freaking Aaron Rodgers has been given the keys to the kingdom on more than one occasion over the last couple of years, and he still has not delivered on getting to a Super Bowl. Oh, sure, people can say he's gotten close, made it to the conference championship games. Oh, sure, people can say he's got all the MVP awards, but the point of the matter is that Aaron Rodgers now has become probably one of the most disliked figures in the entirety of the NFL because of the fact that he's constantly, making all these ridiculous things happening on the news, whether it's him going off to these retreats, whether it's him, freaking thinking, oh, am I going to retire? Am I not going to retire? Oh, hey, you know what? We're all about winning here. Oh, I got to be a leader, and then decides that he's going to skip mandatory training camp to go and find himself or something, whatever. The point of the matter is nobody really likes freaking Aaron Rodgers. However, though, having said that, while people don't like him, when he has something to say about the actual game of football, as far as the ins and outs, the intricacies, understanding and how to play the sport, people pay attention. Regardless of what you might think about him personally, the man knows football as far as how to play the damn sport, and especially when we're talking about quarterback. Again, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I detest the man. But I can acknowledge the fact that he's a talented player and he's going to go into the Hall of Fame one day. So, knowing that, when Rodgers yesterday on the Pat McAfee show decided to give an absolute showering of praise for freaking quarterback Jared Goff, that naturally got my attention. My ears perked up. I was very, very much, interested as to what he had to say. My interest was definitely piqued. So what did Rodgers specifically say in regards to Jared Goff? Now, what is the context? The context is in relation to what Jared Goff has obviously been doing over, the last 5-6 games. So Rodgers had 2 very long statements, which I'm going to break up into 2 separate parts, so that way I'm not just talking on end, and I can have a moment to kind of input my opinion. Here's what the first thing Rodgers said. He said, what he's done is nothing less than sensational. It's hard to complete passes at that. I can't remember what the stat was, but it was a ridiculous stat where you're like, how is this possible? over 5 or 6 games and only like 24 incompletions or something, like that's wild. It's wild. It's bananas. Okay, let's understand something here. I'm going to say this right now. There's a reason why I went to such lengths in the beginning of this episode talking about Aaron Rodgers and how nobody likes him and his, whatever opinion of himself. Putting that into context here with this statement, the fact that Aaron Rodgers is giving Jared Goff credit, the fact that he's giving Goff praise is unbelievable. For lack of a better term, Aaron Rodgers is a damn narcissist. He has a very inflated sense of ego. He has a very inflated sense of his personal worth. I guarantee you, in Rodgers' world, there is nobody that comes close to him. So the fact that he's even willing to give such huge praise, huge compliment to freaking Jared Goff, a guy that, oh, by the way, he played against for, 1, 2, 3 different years? I mean, you have to think about it here, folks. And out of those times that Jared Goff played Aaron Rodgers, Rodgers lost to Goff every single time save one. So, yeah, it's kind of very interesting here that Rodgers talking about Goff, talking about the Detroit Lions in essence, and giving the Lions a hell of a lot of praise for what they're doing, that's rather, for lack of a better word, that's rather peculiar. That's very much an oddity. But like I said, that's only the first part. The second part that Rodgers says in relation to Goff is this. He says, give credit to his coordinator for sure, but please give credit to this man. This is not easy. Being that efficient, it is a testament for any QB, young or old. He's throwing the ball downfield accurately, but he's being really smart with the football. Okay. There was at least one word in that statement that I don't think I've ever heard freaking Aaron Rodgers use in any damn context. Please. When's the last time you ever heard Rodgers say please? That means he's asking someone, he's imploring someone in a very, nice manner. Okay, I want you to pay attention to this. I want you to actually do something for me. He's saying, please give credit to Jared Goff for what he's doing. Absolutely wild that this would be coming out of Rodgers' mouth. Again, Rodgers is probably I'm not even going to say probably, he is the most arrogant player in the NFL. I cannot think of a single player that has a much higher freaking, sense of self-worth than Rodgers. And this guy is going on a national television show with a guy like Pat McAfee, who he's on his show all the damn time, and he's pretty much saying, listen, you have to acknowledge Goff's excellence. Please acknowledge his excellence. You can take a look at everything else that you want, but you have to give credit to Goff. Goff is the one that's making all of this work. For freaking Aaron Rodgers to be saying that about Jared Goff, that is a massive, massive compliment. Especially considering who it's coming from. And the fact that it's coming from Rodgers, that ought to raise a lot of people's eyebrows. Again, I have said it multiple times over the last couple of weeks. You can talk about freaking Josh Allen. You can talk about freaking Lamar Jackson. And you can talk about, oh yeah, they're playing well and they've got these ridiculous numbers right now. But dude, I don't give a damn about the numbers as far as how many passing yards, how many passing touchdowns. The only number that matters is 1, wins, but also 2, how damn efficient are you in being able to play the quarterback position? Because playing quarterback is measured by wins and efficiency. And when it comes to both of those categories, Jared Goff has it down in damn spades. Let's analyze this really quickly, folks. I have done this now with several different quarterbacks in comparison to Goff. But when it comes to Rodgers, this is just going to be absolutely fun for me because, 1, like I said, I detest Aaron Rodgers. But also, 2, if there's one quarterback that most people would probably, agree upon that's probably been the most ridiculously accurate, most ridiculously efficient over the last, 20-something years, it would probably be Rodgers. Rodgers has always, for lack of a better term, had this uncanny ability to just put the ball in the right spot. That's what's made him to this Hall of Fame quarterback that he is. So I was like, okay, here, considering the fact that Rodgers is talking about Goff in such a high praise fashion of efficiency, what has Rodgers done in his past career that even comes close of a semblance to what Goff is doing right now? So I went back through Rodgers' career, okay? And I said, okay, let's look for the best season statistic-wise that I can find, so that way we can try and do a comparison here to what Goff has done so far over the first 8 games of this season. The season I was able to find that was the best representation of such was Rodgers' 2020 season. So I said, okay, let's go to the first 8 games of Rodgers' 2020 season and compare that to the first, 8 games that Goff has played this season with the Detroit Lions. When we take a look at what Rodgers did in 2020, in that MVP season that he had, the first 8 games, Rodgers was 189 for 280 with 67.5 completion percentage rate, 2,253 yards, 8 an average to throw, 24 touchdowns to 2 picks with 117.5 passer rating. That was Rodgers' statistical numbers over the first 8 games of the season that he played. Okay, that's a damn pretty, stat line. You've got a 12-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. You've got over 2,200 passing yards. You're throwing at 67.5 completion percentage rate. That's damn fine numbers. But what has Goff done in his first 8 games? Goff has done this. He has completed 158 passes to 211 attempts for 74.9 completion percentage rate, 1,840 yards, 8.7 a throw, 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions with 115 even passer rating. So, okay, let's analyze that really quickly. Goff does not have the passing numbers as far as passing touchdowns or passing yards that Rodgers had in his season. He's 10 touchdowns short and he's about 400 yards short. But the one thing that is remarkably similar about the two is how good their completion percentage is and their passer rating is. Goff is a little short of Rodgers in the passer rating by 2.5 points, but it's still well within that margin of error. But the one area where Goff absolutely kicks Rodgers' ass is the freaking completion percentage. Rodgers was only at a 67.5 in 2020 through the first 8 games. Goff is throwing at 74.9%. That's inhuman. But wait, it gets even better. Again, that's the first 8 games. Let's take a look at Goff's best 4-game stretch over this course of this year versus Rodgers' best 4-game stretch over the course of the first 8 games that he played in 2020. When you take a look at the two, you guys are going to be in for just an absolutely wonderful surprise. The best 4-game stretch that Rodgers had in his 2020 MVP season, he had these numbers. He was 98 of 139 for 70.5 completion percentage rate, 1,200 some yards, 8.7 an average to throw, 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions with a 128.4 passer rating. Okay, damn fine numbers once again. 70 plus completion percentage rate, 125 passer rating, no interceptions. You're having a fine year at that point if you're talking about a 4-game stretch. That's a grand month for a quarterback. But dude, Goff freaking makes Rodgers look like he's in freaking pee-wee ball comparatively. The best 4-game stretch that Goff has had this year, he went 70 for 83 completion in attempts. He was 84.3 completion percentage rate. He had 972 passing yards for 11.7 an average a throw, 10 touchdowns to no interceptions, with a 155.1 passer rating. Dude, Goff absolutely spanks Rodgers' ass. Rodgers might as well be freaking out in left field while Goff is on the pitcher's mound, because that is how far of a distance is between these two men in terms of a month's difference over the course of their freaking best year. Goff outdoes Rodgers in not only completion percentage rate by freaking almost 15 points, He outdoes him in passing average per throw, and he freaking spanks Rodgers' ass by almost 25 points. Actually, no, more than 25 points in passer rating. I mean, dude, it's not even comparable. Rodgers might have 3 more passing touchdowns and, maybe an extra 215, 250 passing yards. But, dude, past that, it's not even a comparison. That's why I keep saying what I'm saying. No quarterback in NFL history has ever played this efficient, this damn good over such a long period of time. You might talk about maybe a game, 2, 3 max. But Goff has done this not only for the month that I just demonstrated, but this is going all the way virtually back to when we played the Cardinals week 3. If you don't want to include that, fine. Let's go back to week 4 against the freaking Seahawks. We're on 5 games now. We're going into the 6th game. And when you think about it, going through that 4-game stretch that I just talked about for Goff versus Rodgers, think about this one. Chew on this. During that span for freaking Rodgers, he only had 1 game that was at an 80-plus completion percentage rate, 1 game that was at a 140-plus passer rating, and he had 2 games where he was less than 72 completion percentage rate, and he had 2 games where he was less than 125 passer rating. You want to take a wild guess where Goff was in comparison to that? He had 3 games 80 plus passer rating. He had 3 games 3 games 80 plus completion percentage rate, 3 games 140 plus passer rating, 0 games less than 72%, and 0 games less than 125 passer rating. I'm just putting it out there, folks. You try and argue it all you want. But when you have Stephen A. Smith saying that Goff is the MVP, when you have Bill Belichick talking about how Goff is absolutely running this offense and it's impossible to stop, and then you have probably the most arrogant man, most arrogant quarterback in the entirety of the NFL saying, listen, you've got to give credit to what Goff is doing. Please give credit to what he's doing. I don't know how much more evidence needs to be said. I don't know how many more opinions have to be put out there from some of the most widely respected individuals in this sport. Maybe not most liked, but widely respected. Again, let's just call it for what it is. Rodgers is a 4-time MVP winner. He's considered one of the greatest to ever play the game. He's considered a future Hall of Famer. And what has he done? Oh yeah, he's got 4 MVPs, but he's only got 1 Super Bowl. And he's got, a 12-10 playoff record. So, not exactly the greatest numbers for a Hall of Fame resume. But wait a minute here. Goff, who before coming to Detroit was considered a largely average quarterback who's been propped up by these great offensive coordinators, he's playing at a quarterback level that nobody's played before. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, nobody. Nobody can come close to him. Goff has been to 2 NFC Conference Championship games with 2 separate teams, something that is also very rare. It's not something that happens very often. And on top of that, Goff is responsible for rebuilding or helping rebuild 2 NFL franchises in both the Rams and the greater accomplishment, the Detroit Lions. To be the quarterback that can say he made the Detroit Lions into a Super Bowl contending program, that puts Goff in a class all his own. So again, putting this back onto what Rodgers said, and you put it into all the context of what I've said so far this season and in this episode, you can't deny Goff is an MVP candidate, number 1. But you also cannot deny Goff is the leading MVP candidate. And because of him, the Lions have probably the best shot of getting to a Super Bowl. I'm not saying he's the only reason, but damn it, if he's not the biggest reason, yeah. Just saying. But anyway, I'm going to end this episode, and I just want to say to everyone, thank you all for watching at another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these 3 things. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, want to highly encourage y'all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also want to encourage y'all, please make sure you also share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. The more we can do this, the greater the channel can grow and the greater the channel can spread. And with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed the content. Whether you guys are a long-time viewer or this is your first time watching, I hope you got something out of it. I also hope you got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.